It's my great pleasure now to hand over to the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor Alderman, William Russell, who we are delighted to have opening the centre today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Damian. And you probably wouldn't know this, but my brother is called Damian, and it's always good to see another Damian, spelt with A-N at the end, not E-N. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here with all of you today to mark what is a very important day for the City of London with the official launch of the City Wellbeing Centre. For most of my lifetime, mental health was not considered to be something you treated. It was very rare for people to seek help for depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues, despite feeling the effects of them very deeply. And I definitely had those experiences. I was sent away to a prep school age 9, and I won't go into all the details of things that happened to me there, but you can guess. And that mental health, in those days, you had no one to talk to, which is one of the reasons why I put Dame Esther Ranson on a pedestal, because she started Child Helpline, and now she's doing a great job with Silverline as well. But thankfully, the stigma surrounding mental health is slowly disappearing. And I'm convinced that we need to look for positives sometimes out of bad things like COVID-19. And I think mental health has come even more to the fore during this pandemic than before, which is a positive for all of us who are trying to help in the mental health world. And many of you do know, but I'm Deputy Chairman of Place to Be. And I can tell you, we have never been busier. Place to Be is a mental health charity that provides counsellors in primary school. And one of the things I've learned around mental health and many things in my life is early intervention in everything we do can solve so many problems later on. But the mental health and well-being of all the city workers and residents is crucial, never more so than now. And that is why this new City Wellbeing Centre aims to assist everyone, whether it's individuals, couples, families, or businesses, and will provide a range of therapeutic mental health services designed to support all. And of course, both this launch and the centre's services are currently all online, but the hope is that as the pandemic subsides, they can offer more in-person support. And I believe this will be a new beginning for the City of London, one where everyone can get that support locally, and one where we finally put an end to the stigma surrounding mental health. I would like to thank the corporation, especially members past and present of the Community and Children's Services Committee, for their commitment to making this project happen, as well as everyone else who's put in so much work to making it a reality. And as all of you know, I'm wearing my green badge with this World Mental Health Day coming this Saturday. We are showing the world through the opening of this centre that the City of London takes mental health and well-being seriously. And I believe this will make a huge positive difference to everyone who lives and works in this great city of ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. We've decided to mark the occasion with a plaque. And I think we have a short video, John, do we, of the unveiling of the plaque? Hurrah!
Thank you very much. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, William. I'm now going to hand over to Andrew Balfour, who is the CEO of Tavistock Relationships. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. And I'm actually speaking to you this morning from the Wellbeing Centre, and just to my left here is that plaque that you've just seen unveiled. So we're delighted and I should start by saying that in establishing the City Wellbeing Centre, the City has shown great vision, working with us at Tavistock Relationships to establish a model of partnership for our times, offering access to high quality psychological therapies for workers and residents of the city and neighbouring boroughs, a time when the coronavirus pandemic has placed unprecedented demands on mental health and on family relationships. The need for easy to access, evidence-based help has never been greater. And Tavistock Relationships' community of therapists will offer counselling and psychotherapy for individuals and couples who are experiencing a range of difficulties. including things like depression, anxiety, relationship problems, bereavement, struggles with work or family life, sexual problems, self-esteem issues, and life transitions, such as job loss, moving towards retirement, or living with illnesses such as dementia. Now, I should say that a unique feature of the services offered by Tavistock Relationships is that the therapy is accessible to all on the basis of what individuals and couples can afford. Although, as the Mayor said, these services are currently being offered online, we're waiting for the time when we can return to face-to-face work as well and make good use of this wonderful building that the Corporation of London has taken such care in developing as really as a state-of-the-art centre from which we can serve the many local communities, the city and neighbouring boroughs. And initiatives such as the Wellbeing Centre are needed now more than ever. As a consequence of the pandemic, we have a mental health crisis that is largely taking place behind closed doors. COVID-19 has highlighted the close link between our relationships and mental health. For example, we know that increased family stress has put huge impacts on children's mental health and their development. And recent research shows an increased incidence of child abuse and domestic violence at the moment. Still a long way from parity of esteem between physical and mental health. But the Wellbeing Centre initiative is one local step towards this. And I hope that this will prove to be a model that others can follow in London and across the UK. The mental health consequences of the current crisis require imaginative thinking and long-term investment. In establishing the City Wellbeing Centre, the City of London Corporation is taking a lead on this. And as Chief Executive of Tavistock Relationships, I'm delighted that we're partnering with the City in this. Our approach, which aims to reach the widest range of people by developing and testing new interventions for contemporary psychosocial problems, alongside rigorous training in core analytic approaches, has its roots in our beginnings as an organisation in the aftermath of World War II. In the scale of the current crisis, there are echoes of earlier times. Now, as then, there's a need to find new ways of reaching those who would otherwise be unable to access psychological help. So on behalf of all of us at Tavistock Relationships, I'd like to say how much we look forward to working with the Corporation of London, with local community organisations and with city firms in order to realise this exciting vision. Now, there's always a danger in singling out individuals to thank. The danger is that you leave out important people who contributed. But that risk notwithstanding, I would like to name some people and to thank them for making this happen. Firstly, Matthew Bell, whose idea this was originally and who's nurtured it through from its inception. Randall Anderson, Tom Anderson, Simon Cribbins, Zoe Darney, Gary Faraday, Marianne Fredericks, Claire Giroux, Neil Hounsell, Zenia Kumi, Suzanne Levin, Tom Newman, Marcus Odenlami, Chandni Tani, and Nicholas Welland. And finally, Vlad, who we met yesterday and met also in August, and his construction team who've done such a fantastic job on this building. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned at the beginning that we are actually recording the speeches today for our own sort of marketing purposes. So I hope that's in line with people's expectations. Okay, I'm going to we're slightly ahead of ourselves, but that's probably good because then we can have some more time at the end to ask questions. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over to Honor Rhodes, who also works at Tavistock Relationships and is Director of Strategic Development. So thank you, Honor.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to have slides up, I think, that Katie's going to do for me. But in the meantime, I'm just going to explain that whilst I am Director of Strategy at Tavistock Relationships, I also sit on City and Hackney CCG, which means that I am somebody who wears two hats today. Some people might call that a conflict of interest, but they'd be wrong. This is a collision of interests. These are my two preoccupations, the health and well-being of people who live in City and Hackney, and also thinking about the quality of our lived lives and how we can do more. So I am just so delighted to have the opportunity to think and reflect on what this means, particularly in terms of the health and well-being of people who live in the city. Could I have the next slide, Katie? Thank you. And probably the next one after that. Thank you. So I'm really interested in how this particular service is going to help the CCG, who have not been a part of the commissioning of this service. This is entirely something that the Corporation of London has done, but nevertheless it sits so neatly within our joint ambition, which is to ensure that the people who live and work in the City of London have longer, healthier and happier lives. But perhaps even more importantly, paramount is this idea that we reduce health, excuse me, we reduce health inequalities. The different health outcomes for people who are poor and who live with all sorts of different conditions is infinitely and significantly worse than those who have advantage, and often that turns on their early experiences and their early lives. So our job is also to ensure that once we know that there is this very significant gap between our residents and workers, we have something to say and something to do about it. And so the Wellbeing Centre is a very significant part of that answer. As Andrew says, we are interested in providing people with evidence-based interventions. Everybody should have the opportunity of getting what we can all afford to offer them, knowing that it comes with the very best pedigree of evidence behind it. And so I'm really delighted that Tavistock Relationships has always collected data on outcomes, and we have a long now track record in providing effective services, which is a great comfort to me as somebody who has to persuade people to take therapeutic intervention seriously. But it should be a comfort to us all to know that what will go on within the City Wellbeing Centre aegis is something that has such a pedigree inside it. And I'm very proud of it indeed. Could I have the next slide, Katie? Andrew mentioned parity of esteem. It's not a phrase that gets bandied about very much now. It did a while ago, but it really matters. The idea that our mental health and well-being should be taken as seriously as our physical health and well-being is still for some people a radical thought. And it is incongruous really in this day and age, particularly given what the Lord Mayor said about early start, early intervention for children who have all sorts of troubles, that we have this distinction between the two, because of course our mental health and well-being affects our physical health. So we should all be interested in everybody's mental health and emotional well-being, because it's one of the easiest ways we have as a state to improve outcomes for everybody. And we can think about this as a moral good. It is morally right to ensure that people have the health and support that they need and deserve. But it is also, just from a sheer naked, cold economics point of view, perfect sense. Because if we stop people from developing serious illnesses, we are going to reduce the demand for hospital and other forms of care. So parity of esteem, the notion that we should treat people's mental health and well-being as seriously and be as interested in it and invested in great outcomes, is hugely important. And I found this stat, which was that 1 in 3 GP consultations, particularly in London, now involve some component of a mental health issue. So people are going to their GPs and asking for help with a frozen shoulder. What they're also wanting to talk about is the trouble that they have that's pressing on their mind, making them depressed, anxious, unable to engage in the world of work as much as they would like to. It reduces their capacity to parent, and if we don't take it seriously, engage with it and help people, it's going to diminish the quality of their lives to such an extent that it will affect others, and whole families get drawn into the mental health of one person inside them. So we are absolutely going to rise to the challenge of this, and it's just wonderful. And I have said bravo for the City of London Corporation, because this is brave and right. Could I have the next slide, please, Kate? Thank you. So we're an established historical institution, which is nice. It feels comfortable to be inside an organisation that has had years of practice and really understands how we can help people best. But Andrew mentioned that it grew out of a group of people who became very, very perturbed about what had happened to families as a consequence of the Second World War. And it began helping social workers from another venerable organisation, Family Action, who were Family Welfare Association, think about how to help families best when they were very hard to help. And this is the ground that we are still treading and working in now. These are the troubles that we work with at our centres, online, every day. And of course, we've got new problems, and the world of COVID, working online, isolation and loneliness is something that's becoming a feature of the work that we do. And I think what's interesting about the therapeutic work that goes on is about the capacity of staff to hold, both to hurt for people so that they can leave our sessions somewhat restored, but also our therapists are holding the hope that the future can be different. And the quote is from a parent who had seen one of our therapists at Tavistock, and you can read just as well as I can, I'm sure, but it was the notion that somebody, through a relationship of trust with a therapist, was able to find a way through a really very significant and horrible bereavement that had been treated as a depression with tablets. Now, that will have alleviated some part of it, but it doesn't get to the very heart of the issue, which is grief. And I think that it was terribly important for this woman to have somebody who could endure to listen to her. She'd run out of family and friends, and she was getting that response, which was, "You're still talking about this? Are you not over this by now?" A therapist never expects us to be over stuff. They expect us to be living with it and working with it and thinking about it all the time. And these things matter, and these are the things that make the difference. Could I have the next slide, please, Kate? This was a piece of work I did a long time ago with some school children about their views of family life. And this is Finn's picture of what happens to families as they go older. And he was very interesting in drawing the bats and the graves, obviously, and calling this the aging family. And he looked at me pityingly. I think I probably was about 50 then. He obviously felt that I was well on my way to the right-hand side of this picture. Family life really matters because we move through, as individuals, through all our relationships and connections, a continuum that most of us travel across, which is, we are born, we go to school, some of us go to university, we hold down jobs, we make families or not, as the case may be. We grow older, we have to deal with our aging parents, we have to deal with the death of our parents, we may have to deal with sudden job loss, a horrible illness, bereavement, change. And so the family life cycle transitions can get disrupted and can be made more difficult for people who've not had the very best start in life. And so therapy attends to all the issues that people are living with and struggling with. And I think what's interesting about the Corporation of London's idea that a wellbeing centre within its boundaries could really help is that it has had care and thoughts about the workforce. So this service is for people who don't just live in the city, but work in the city and live in other places. And so it really matters that we are able to think with people about what work means for them and how much they give to work and how much they have for home. And the balance of life is one of the things that we know that we'll be wanting to help people think about. We need to have enough resource inside us left to do the living and the loving as well as the working. So thank you very much, Katie. The next slide, please. So I suppose what we're doing when we're thinking about parity of esteem and the work that Tavistock Relationships does is we're trying to persuade people that getting the help that you need when you are low, depressed, facing an extraordinary life challenge is that there's somebody to help, somebody who can help you as a doctor would work with you if you had, bust your Achilles tendon. We are as interested in that. We want to have a look at what's inside. We can help people face the difficulties, the demons that they've put in a box not wanted to look at. We're interested in helping people repair themselves and think about the future, talking about themselves and their understanding of themselves in a different way, and finding, because of that, a new route through to a different place. And so I was very interested, Andrew touched on our dementia service, which is a very short intervention, 8 sessions or so, and we use a film, and we ask couples where one person has dementia to film themselves undertaking a task. This is about as simpler intervention as you could get looking at the outside, but what it's doing is it's persuading people that there is still a relationship of meaning, one that matters, even when dementia is taking its toll. And so the woman in this relationship had been very, very low, very depressed about living with her partner with quite serious dementia. But through this work, she was able to imagine a life where he could stay at home with her, and he did. And they found things because she understood that he still loved her. She still experienced that as hugely important to her. She was able to tolerate the dementia in a way that made her feel less like a caregiver and more like a partner again. So there are very simple things that we can do that help people in extremis. And I think that's the point of finding new ways of helping people live with the old and wicked problems. Thank you, Katie. Could I have the last slide, please? So, of course, I like to end with Freud, of course. So, you know, this is a very well-known quote: love and work, work and love, that's all there is. And I suppose the point of us here today is to think about how therapy helps people restore themselves, the relationship that one forms with one's helper in therapy or counselling or the other work is as close to an experience of love for some people as they've had for a long time. And it's in that relationship that the change is made. So I feel intensely proud and humbled, really, to be in a position where we are able to think about offering this support to the people who live and work in the Corporation of London's boundaries. And we're open, we're waiting. We'd like it to start right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honor. Thank you very much. We're going to, in a minute, show you a very short video of the video tour of the building. But I just wanted to help you understand what we've got, because I'm not sure that the video tour will cover obviously all aspects. So basically, you will come in, as you will see, into a reception area. And then on the ground floor, we have 2 consulting rooms with a dividing partition. And that's to allow us to make those 2 rooms flexible. So they could be 2 separate consulting rooms, but also a larger space for group work, for example, or even some seminar work. Thankfully, and it's a great benefit to us, there are 2 separate staircases, so we can think of one staircase to take people up to the first floor, and the second staircase to bring people down. And obviously, as COVID continues, that might well be, when we get back to face-to-face work, that might well be a blessing for us. Upstairs, we have a kitchen stroke staff room, and we have a further 5 consulting rooms. And obviously there are toilets. We have disabled access on the ground floor as well. So we're pretty well equipped to get going. And as Honor says, it's, you know, we're ready for business, and it's such a shame we can't actually operate fully from the building. But I just wanted to make you aware. We also have what we call an air exchange system in the roof, in the ceiling, which, as I understand, brings fresh air in and moves it around the building and passes it out. So again, that's pretty state-of-the-art, helpful sort of ventilation system in place. So John, would you, Katie will show us now the film that John did of the building itself.
At present, therapy sessions are only taking place online, but once restrictions are lifted and you can visit the centre for consultations, you'll be welcomed into a comfortable and calm reception area with lower frosted windows for your privacy. A second welcoming reception space exists with partitioning as another privacy feature. Upstairs, there is a further set of treatment rooms to ensure that your therapy session will happen in a comfortable, welcoming and contained environment. City Wellbeing Centre, a safe space for accessible psychotherapy.
So you probably saw that the two rooms at the bottom with the partition, they are actually consulting rooms, just to be clear. Yeah. So I'll move on and just say a little bit about the services, because as you already have gathered, we offer a kind of range of services that will be available from the centre. And as Andrew said, these are to help people struggling with, for example, depression, anxiety, struggles with their relationships and family life, concerns about work, psychosexual issues, and problems with parents, etc., parenting, etc. And so our services are tailored to meet the particular needs of those approaching the Wellbeing Centre. And we'll be offering both long and short-term therapeutic interventions to individuals, couples, to parents, and we will also be offering group therapy, and we're expanding the offer of group therapy as we speak. The list of services, and we hope to develop other services that might be more in keeping with the needs of the city, but for the minute, we offer individual counselling and psychotherapy. We offer we offer couple psychotherapy. As I've said, we offer the group therapy. We have a psychosexual therapy service. And we offer and have been developing mentalization-based approaches for couples in conflict. And that's becoming ever more important because of the research evidence that shows the terrible effects of couple conflict on children and young people and on family life generally. And as Andrew says, and particularly in times of COVID, the instance of domestic abuse, so relationships that get into real difficulty, are increasing. And that's also something that we think about with couples as well. The parenting interventions we offer are growing. So we have a whole range of parenting services under the banner of the parenting services. So we have adopting together. So we work with couples who've adopted children where the adoption is affecting the couple relationship. As I've said, we work with couples in conflict. We're part of the Reducing Couple Conflict government initiative, which Anna might want to say some more about. We offer group work for parents as partners, and the parenting together and parents in dispute. We're seeing quite a lot of couples under the parenting service. These are couples who are in court or have been in court and continue to experience difficulties in managing their parenting, their co-parenting of their children as they process the divorce and separation. We also have a short-term intervention for individuals and couples specifically affected by lockdown. Mention has also been made about couples living with dementia. And we also have a 50+ support for retiring couples. And to help couples navigate their way into these different services, we intend to have very specific ways of them identifying their needs at an early stage. But inevitably, couples will come with different needs that might not fit automatically into any of these particular boxes. And if that is the case, then we offer an initial assessment anyway for anyone coming for help, so that we properly understand what the need is and what we feel we can offer that will help. But some people, for example, come with a couple relationship problem, a communicationship problem, and will find themselves being assessed in the general, what we call the general service, which is the individual counselling and psychotherapy or the couple psychotherapy service. And they actually have a psychosexual problem, in which case then we would think with them about meeting with a properly qualified, trained psychosexual therapist. I just want to say that we're also really keen to establish partnerships with businesses in the city, both to extend the reach of the services that we offer and also to develop bespoke training, for example, for the workforce. And we've been doing a number of business engagement sessions. These are short webinars for us to introduce the centre and also to talk with people from the corporate world in the city in terms of ways that they might get involved and ways that we may be able to help them. And that's already happening, and we're doing more of those seminars going forward. And we're picking up very clear needs from these encounters, really. You know, people worrying about their workforce in terms of alcohol and worrying about their workforce in terms of couple conflicts. So we're really wanting to partner with businesses in order to, as I say, extend and develop further the reach of the services. Just to kind of underline, a unique feature of the services we will be offering at the City Wellbeing Centre is that the therapy is accessible to all, irrespective of income. Although those in a position to pay more actually enable us to provide therapy for people on lower incomes. So there is a direct relationship between these two ends of the equation. Those wishing to attend the Wellbeing Centre will be asked to register for the service they require, and as I say, will be offered an initial assessment to establish the appropriateness of the referral and to decide how best to proceed.